What's up, Airsofters? Question time. How long is too long for an airsoft barrel? With modern hop-ups being as good as they are long inner barrels even necessary anymore? Hit us up in the comments section below with your opinions. What's up, Airsofters? This is the officially licensed Colt M16A3 AEG from EMG. It's a lot of abbreviations, I know. I'll be brief on the history, but for some historical context, the M16 style of rifle was first adopted by the US military in the early 1960s and became the official infantry service weapon in 1969, replacing the venerable M14, and still sees use to this day by US forces and many other countries around the world. The M16 has changed a few times over the years, from the A1 all the way up to the A4. And to vastly oversimplify those changes, the first model, the A1, had that triangular model handguard and a fixed carry handle. The A2 still retained the fixed carry handle, but went to the rounded handguard you see here, and also introduced the 3-round burst fire mode instead of full auto. The A3 went back to full auto and introduced the removable carry handle as well as the flat top with the pick rail. And finally, the A4 brought us the now ubiquitous quad rail handguard. And this A3 model completely did away with the carry handle, so you can purchase that separately if you really want one, since most of us ditch those anyway. Instead, this one includes the rear flip-up sight, which is arguably a lot more useful for the majority of airsofters out there. The EMG M16A3 comes in a pretty nondescript cardboard box, except for the labels on either end. Inside, we get a look at the cut foam, keeping it nice and secure during shipping. You'll also see the EMG service tag, which both authenticates your purchase as well as gives you a QR code to access your digital manual. Of course, you also get your included high-capacity magazine. The EMG M16A3 has a quick change spring, and although you can see the spring guide through the back of the receiver, you can't remove it without first removing the whole gearbox. So close, but the retaining tabs on the spring guide can't make it past the buffer tube guide. The gearbox is driven by a 19 TPA motor. The motor axle spins on bearings, has a CNC aluminum heatsink, and a metal housing with vents on the sides to help keep things running cool. Once you actually remove the gearbox, the quick change spring guide can come out, revealing a bearing. This aids in prolonging the life of the spring. The gears are SHS 18:1, which are heat treated and run on 8mm bearings. These gears pull a polymer piston with all metal teeth with the second tooth removed. The piston head is ported, the cylinder is not ported, the cylinder head is polymer with a single O-ring, and the nozzle is polymer with no O-ring. A really nice touch is the inline MOSFET, which is there to prolong the life of the trigger contacts, preventing arcing when using high voltage batteries, and the wires terminate in a Dean's or Airsoft T-plug style connector, which is standard for all EMG AEGs, and a really superior connector to the old Tamiya style. Lastly, the inner barrel is 490mm long, and the hop-up chamber is your basic metal version 2 design. Let's talk a little bit about the accessories I've attached, because they have improved my ability to shoot it a little bit better. First things first, you'll notice that unlike a traditional M16, I've been able to mount a vertical grip on there. And I've been able to do that by attaching a rail segment. Now, this isn't included, but thanks to the holes in the top and bottom of the front of the handguard, I was able to mount a rail so I could get a vertical grip on there. Now, something interesting about the M16A3 from EMG is that they've given you a full heat shield inside the handguard, which is something you really don't see on Airsoft M16s, considering that they really don't do anything. So if you wanted to mount a rail further back, you're either going to have to drill holes in the bottom here or simply remove it. But I like that they've included that. Up top, you'll notice that I've put on an ACOG, and I was able to do that really easily because there's no included carry handle, which most of us throw out anyways. But if you wanted a carry handle, they're available at Evike.com. They don't cost a lot of money. Now, because they did not include the carry handle, they included a rear flip-up sight, which is a nice added feature, and that top rail gave us plenty of room to mount my ACOG. Let's talk a little bit about externals. The build quality is nice and tight all around. You've got a cast aluminum upper and lower receiver connected to a full-length stock. Now, I particularly like the full-length stock because it gives you a whole lot of battery options. Just about every battery available for Airsoft will fit in this bad boy, and it is wired to the rear. You can gain access to the battery compartment right here. I also like that you have a built-in sling mount point, although if you're not using a kind of an OG belt-style sling mount point, you might need to get like a cable adapter or something to make a modern sling work. Up front, we've also got that handguard that we talked about. Something that I particularly like about the lower receiver is the true-to-life Colt engravings for the trademarks. Not only do you get a unique serial number, which kind of personalizes the specific model that you get, but those of us that are into clone correct builds, both in Airsoft and in real firearms, will appreciate how rare and uncommon Colt receivers are. And for those of us looking to build a true-to-life M16 or a true-to-life Mark 18 or any one of the clones that clone real military firearms that use Colt receivers, this is a great place to start. And, as it should be, the A2 pistol grip, which I will immediately change. As you can see, at 50 feet, this gun has no problem hitting a 6-inch steel target. But I want to see how accurate we're going to get with a barrel length as long as this. Keep in mind, I haven't cleaned the inner barrel. All I've done is set the hop up, thrown in an 11.1 2600 milliamp battery and 0.25 gram BBs. Thankfully, not a whole lot of wind today, so we should be pretty accurate. Go take a look and see how we did. We've moved back in to check out our 50-foot target, and as you can see, the majority of the grouping is right in the A zone. I had 2 hit on the sides of the C, and it looks like I hit one in the top of the A zone as well. Overall, at 50 feet, excellent accuracy. You could definitely bring in this grouping by cleaning your barrel. It's literally that simple. But out-of-the-box performance on a gun that hasn't been cleaned, I'd say is pretty good at 50 feet. Let's head out to 100 feet now. As you can see out at 100 feet, I have a slightly harder time hitting a 6-inch target, but at this distance, 6 inches is a pretty small target. Let's see how accurate we are on body size targets shooting our middle EMG cardboard target. Well, it sounded like we got a lot of hits, but let's head back to the target and see how we did. This is where having a cleaned barrel really shows you the difference in performance. I haven't cleaned the barrel, and notice that even at 100 feet, my spread has opened way up. I have a considerably larger spread. In fact, this one on this target was meant for this target. I do think it's important to note that even at 100 feet, we're still on a body size target. So if you're worried in seeing the larger spread, like, oh, that's horribly inaccurate, at the average engagement distance for most of your Airsoft games, you're still gonna be slaying bodies on the field. Speaking of adjusting the hop up, the M16A3 has a great feature that you're seeing a lot more on AEGs, and that's that the charging handle actually locks back the imitation bolt, giving you the freedom to adjust your hop up without having to hold the charging handle back. Once you're done with your adjustment, simply hit the bolt release on the other side, closes it up, and then you can close up your dust cover. Here we are at the Chrono. I've got my X-Core-Tech on. I threw 0.20 gram BBs and a mid cap on here. Of course, like I mentioned, it's an 11.1 volt, 2600 milliamp battery. Let's see what kind of FPS we get. Ooh. Ooh. So FPS is just about 427, 428, which is a little high. Thankfully, quick change spring guide in the gearbox gives you plenty of options to change your FPS so you can, vary your places of play. Let's see what kind of RPS we get. A respectable 20 RPS, and you're still keeping your FPS right about 430. So consistency throughout its usable range is, I think, a really nice selling point of the M16A3. I love the pointability that an extra long platform like an M16 gives you. It becomes muscle memory to reacquire a target. You really aren't relying on your sights all that much when, since you're using an ACOG, you're going to be doing a lot because it's an Airsoft ACOG. Let's talk about some of the things that I think maybe could have been improved here, or maybe things that I think you should take into consideration. One being, unless you have long arms, you may find that the full-size stock is long and extends the rifle too far away from you, really limiting what optics you can choose because of their eye relief in Airsoft. So that's something to consider. Also, I know that it's period correct, but there's so many better grips than the A2 grip on the market. You definitely want to look at changing that. Unless you're going for ultimate realism, in which case you should definitely check out the slim grip from EMG that will make this a lot more comfortable. And my final gripe, which maybe is not a big deal to some, but it's a big deal to me. This is an M16. It should have a metal Stanag mag out of the box. Instead, we got a polymer high cap. Not that that's a negative, I mean, it performs very well. But an M16 needs a metal mag, doesn't it? The EMG M16A3 AEG is a beautiful starting point for a clone build or your own dedicated M16 project, or even something more custom thanks to the removable handguard. You could always throw a quad rail on here to put on even more accessories if you wanted. I particularly like that the Colt receiver not only looks really nice, but because it's a cast aluminum, it's a little bit more robust than some of the pure magnesium shells that you see out there for full metal bodies. With its great level of performance out of the box and solidly built externals, this platform is definitely worth checking out. Make sure you head to our website and check out the EMG M16A3 right here at Evike.com. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel here on YouTube if you like these style of reviews and you'd like to see even more of them. Comment in the comments section if you guys have any guns that you'd like us to review that we haven't touched on yet, or maybe some ideas for things you'd like us to feature in the review videos that maybe we haven't touched on. And follow us on our other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where we regularly upload both awesome pictures and content as well as do giveaway contests on a pretty regular basis. Make sure you're always playing hard and playing safe and playing responsibly. See you guys later.